All right, it's on.
We're good to go.
Good to go. Okay, so what was I saying?
So yeah, you were talking about what I shared last week about my kindergarten class and how I need to like all these parts of me that need a lot of emotional support before I can go about my day. Like I need to really take them in and like it's okay. Yeah, you have a right to feel what you're feeling. Yeah, you too. Yeah, you're yeah, you can feel what you're feeling. So for me, it's really based on emotional feelings and yeah.
So and you're finding that that's supporting you, and then
I know in my kindergarten class, yes. Feels loved and heard. It seems to be part of it.
and when they're loved and heard, then what?
Then they can just settle down and go about the day
Mm.
and be in the now or be, just yeah. But it does take that a conscious sort of effort to like, okay, yeah, this is what's here. This is what just needs this love and acceptance. This part.
Interesting. So it's almost kind of like your morning releasing in a way, right? So some people they get up and have a morning release, right? So what's here right now? What's kind of a little bit gnawing or looking for attention, and just welcome that and let it go.
Yeah, I
And
guess so. Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm not sure if Mama does that still, but she used to do
yeah.
that.
But you were saying you were sort of thinking about that, and yeah, that's totally
Well,
me too. Like,
it's what
it seems kind of yeah
high maintenance.
high maintenance. Yeah. What was
Ooh.
it you said you would say to little Sean?
Yeah, little Timmy kindergarten. Well, I guess I would say that I have those voices or those aspects of mind that arise, and for me they're more kind of uh typically they're kind of consultants in a way, right? Or part of the committee. This one
Committee.
teacher, like you're the kindergarten, they call them kindergarten class, we call them the committee, and they offer like, well, we need to do this in order for us to be okay or whatever, or in order to promote the identity of Sean or whatever, right? And I mean, it doesn't say it that way. It just says like, hey, you really need to get going on your masters, because if you get your masters, that's going to be way better and whatever, blah blah blah. And
Well, what about the part of you that's procrastinating or something, or just wants to play a video game instead? Is that part of the committee?
um, no, it doesn't seem like that's part of it. It seems like that's what's arising in the moment. So the part of me, because I don't necessarily procrastinating, it's kind of a judgment around it, right? Because it's saying doing this is more important, and so we're going to and so not doing that and doing this activity is this is not necessarily a positive activity. It's procrastinating, right?
Mhm.
And it, it so that's kind of what's arising in the moment, and what the personality of Sean is pulled to do, right? The voice that will come is the one that's saying, hey, you need to do this. If we don't get on and do this, then we're ultimately going to be doomed, I mean, really, that's the kind of the final card that part of my mind pulls is like, and I went through this all through doing my bachelor's and all my other schooling, and I'm kind of gone off a tangent about your thing, but the I was just trying to make this short. That I would notice that there was kind of like two flows happening. One flow was this ongoing concern about doom, right? And we don't get this project in. This project is due by Friday, blah blah blah. And if we don't get it in, we're gonna face a lot of shit. And then there was this other part that that seemed to know exactly how much time was needed to do the project, and was able to, and when that time happened, it would just go and do it. And and I never got a project late my whole way through school. got good grades. And it took me years to kind of start noticing this voice and noticing that it didn't actually know what it was talking about. that there was this other part of my brain, or maybe it's the left side, right side, or whatever, that was really in tune with the task at hand, what it would take to get that task done, and at what point I needed to start doing the task. And just kind of another aside, like I noticed that if I ever tried to do a task too soon, when there was not enough pressure time-wise, that my editing mind would just be too prominent, and like I couldn't finish a sentence without like, oh, should we say it another way? Right? But then you got a time constraint, and then that voice would come up, oh, should we say it another way? And then I would just like, it doesn't matter, we don't have time to figure that out. Let's just do this one. This is how we're going to say it. So yeah, so back to the thing.
Well, no,
um
no. So this is good. So this is like your superhuman strength, superhero strength is to skill and knows exactly. I think some of us feel like we're missing that piece because there's that procrastinating thing that seems to have all these consequences. Like, oh, I can't procrastinate on this or that. Well, that just cost me all this money or something. I didn't get to my taxes in time, so oh god, now I'm going to owe this much more money, right? Like I love that idea that maybe I can just let it go. My mind will know exactly when to come in and start the task. But sometimes I feel like I'm kind of missing that piece. The one that knows exactly how much time or something. Because when it comes to procrastinating, it becomes almost like this panicky thing. And then, like, okay, so for example, a couple weeks ago, I was applying for that job,
yeah.
not feeling qualified for it. So maybe that was part of it. I was holding back. In the end, it was like the last evening, that it was you needed to be in by midnight. And, I had Elka come over and help me with it, right? And actually it was fun then. Then it was fun. It was like we're doing this thing together, trying to put together a cover letter and having somebody else. It was actually a fun thing, but we got it in at like 11:57.
Yeah.
So, it was due 11:59. And one of the skills needed is, to demonstrate ability to prioritize tasks. And so, like I knew that it wouldn't look very good, sending this in at the last minute, and I haven't heard back. So I guess that, my mind's getting there now, right? Thinking, okay, well, there was all this judgment, like I didn't, and I was supposed to put it into one file and I couldn't figure it out. So sent it in two, like I didn't leave myself enough time to just look professional and get this done. And I feel like that really worked against me, right?
Right. And there's probably a truth to that. But
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that's like, well, then that's not a good job for you. Right? If they're looking for someone that's able to prioritize and blah, 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 then it's like, then, right? I mean, it's like, no, okay, let's not go there. But
Yeah, so maybe part of me didn't really want the job. Like a part of me didn't feel like I was fully qualified for the job. I mean, I
right.
talked about that.
So, yeah, I guess I hate to constantly bring it back to the sense of emptiness, but in me doing that and the whole procrastinating thing, the last card that it can pull is that basically if you don't do this, you'll be doomed,
Right.
right?
You're worthless and you're
Right.
all
Yeah.
these judgments come up.
Yeah. That the identity of Sean will suffer, and to suffer to such a painful extent. and there just came a point where I didn't care because it had sunken in enough that that wasn't real. And so that overhanging threat just doesn't have a lot of, like, even like in my nervous system, like it just doesn't have a lot of pull to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I a long time ago I came upon this definition of stress, and I shared it with some people and they're like, well, that's not right, but it definitely illustrated it to me that that stress is like the self, or whatever, the personality or the mind splits itself into, it takes 2 points. One point is, if we don't do this, we're doomed. And the other point is, we're not going to be able to do this. Right? So those, when those two arise, it's like the perfect storm for stress. Because if you take any one of those two away, right? If all you have is the one that, if we don't do this, we're doomed, and you don't have another voice that says, or if the other voice is like, yeah, that's fine, we'll get her done, we'll do it. Oh, okay. Then there's no stress. It's just like, we'll do this. Oftentimes that's, and that just came to me, like when we're in this kind of survival mode, right? Like in a real core physical survival. Like I'm sure you've experienced that, right? Out in the wild or whatever. It's not really stressful. You're just going through the motions. Got to do this, do that, do that, do that,
Right.
in order for this organism to continue living, right? If we have the one that says there's no way we're going to be able to do this, but we don't have the one that says we need to do this to be okay, then it's just like, yes, so what, right? I'm never going to be able to make a atomic bomb. Well, yeah, so what? or whatever, or make a jet airplane, or whatever things that there are people that can do. So
Right.
I guess,
So you've got the two of them there combined, which if you
yeah,
pick it apart, you can see, well, maybe that one's not true and maybe that one's not true. Or you have them both in the room together. It's like you have nowhere to go because you're bouncing against different walls and it's trapped.
right, you're trapped and you're going to feel stress. And a lot of people, they spend their lives in that state,
Right.
right? Because the nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat, a real physical threat, and imagined threat. It kicks in, and we get all of the aspects of the nervous system kicks in, and so we're we're undergoing this, that's why they call it existential threat, right? Because that's, well, I mean, it's not even an existential, it's like a psychological existential threat. So I think for you, that's kind of where it fits in funnily with the kindergarten, because I could see in the kindergarten, you've got little Billy that's like, you know, Michelle, we really need to do this. If we don't do this, you know, we're going to be whatever. And then you got little Sally saying, there's no way we're going to get that done. Look at it, it's 11:55. we're doomed. but for me, and I don't know how you're going to take this, but I'm just going to say, for me, it seems like there's another kindergartner that's listening to Billy and Sally and believing it. Right?
Yes. Okay.
Yep. It's not that. So the teacher comes in and it's like, yeah, that's okay. You guys just settle down and get back to your desks or whatever. None of the, this is all imagined.
Little kids drawing pictures of dragons. Ah.
Right. But if we think like there was this event that happened, I guess, I mean, you weren't there and Mom wasn't there. It was just me and Julie and Papa. And I was really, really feeling scared, like at a core level. And I don't even know if that's where it originated or where it originated earlier than that. And it was just reenacting itself, right? It was just re-triggering that memory. But I will experience things now, and the same very similar sensations are felt, and then storyline happens. Just like, oh yeah, this feels just like it did, just like that memory back then. And it's almost on this level, my body and mind are reigniting and preparing for I don't know, defense mode or survival mode or something. Mm-hmm. And that all happens and it all comes. But then it kind of, this is weird, like it kind of needs if we can, I don't know, maybe talk about the president, right? So the president's like, he's the person that they come to and, okay, we need to do this, president, right? And the president's got his finger on the button or signing the, okay, we're going off to war. And these consultants come to me and, okay, this is a really deep survival thing. We really need to brace ourselves here. And then when it comes to me, it's just like, once a kind of clarity comes that, oh, I see, yeah, you're afraid of us disintegrating, or
I kind of missed that with the president piece.
Well, the president, so that's kind of the consultants, right? So I'm just trying to kind of draw these
parallels.
Like there has, in my experience, these memories, these sensations, the mind, it's all coming up and needs my buy-in in order to really energize it and make it something significant. Right? So that's the presidential part. So and when I don't give it the buy-in, it just, I don't know, it's kind of like someone's doing a pitch. Let's go to the boss and do this pitch and let's make it sound really convincing. And then it's like, nah, I'm not convinced. Then there's like, oh, okay. And they go back to the drawing board or go back to their office and, okay, what's another good pitch we can come up with? I mean, it's relentless. It doesn't stop with the pitches of how Sean is is going to be threatened.
Right. Like, can you give an example?
Doing these videos, right? So, like I don't even edit these or anything. I don't even necessarily watch them all the way through. It's like, okay, that seemed good, and I just check the sound and that. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, upload. Here we go. And
Crew in the background. Ah!
yeah, the consult. Yeah, so then this is like, oh my God, you're putting it out there. People are, what are people going to say? And then, you said that. How do you said that wrong? And it's just like, yeah, it's fine. It's out there. I mean, I don't know if that's a good example.
That's a good example. Yeah, I can
Uh,
feel that.
Yeah, so it kind of, I mean, that's kind of a minor example.
But still, it's like these judgments that are constantly there, right? You know, the one that says you can't do this or something, you'll never get this right or something.
Right. And
instead of just like, yeah, okay, whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect, just let it go.
yeah, even the letting go of any outcome to it is right. That I'm just doing these one day. I just sat down, right? And I just, okay, you can even go back to my video. I say it, okay, I thought I got this idea. I would just start doing this, right? And if anyone watches it, they watch it. If they don't, they don't. Um, and yeah, if there's a sense that the outcome is going to add to us in some way, then that helps the committee. It helps bolster the the concern.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that job, like if you were totally hootless about the job,
Mm-hmm.
then it wouldn't have that.
Well, to be
But
honest, it was like the minute that got sent off,
yeah.
there was huge relief. I woke up the next day thinking, thank God that's over. It's like, okay, it felt like that was the hurdle I had to get over. And I didn't even know if I wanted the job anymore. Right. But that putting that out there was like this big thing. You know what I mean? Like that was what it was all about for me somehow. And I did it. Right. But this, like I said, this sense of relief of having accomplished it and almost like, okay, the rest doesn't actually matter. And they haven't called me back and it hasn't mattered either. Like I'm fine.
Right. Which is, I think is really awesome if we explore that, right? Because that to me is such a greatest illustration of the impermanence of our personality, right? That right. And on that evening at 11:57, the personality of Michelle, this was so incredibly important. It had to get done.
Yeah.
And where is that now? It's moved on, right? And a new a new variance of Michelle is present. And we, I think sometimes we just miss that.
Yeah.
And we think there's something pathological about that. Hang on, I cared so much then, right? I even got Elkie to come over and help me out and invest her time and now it's just like, meh.
Well, I think part of that was this piece of like, okay, I have to be able to encapsulate in a one-page letter and 2-page resume everything about me. Like I need to be able to capture the very essence of me, and there's like this image of me that I want to get across,
Right.
right? Like there's something about that. It's like this piece of, because that's what it is, right? We're trying to create this idea of us. It's not even really, it's not the truth, really. It's a part of it, maybe, right? It's like a few things, and you want to pull them in and create
Yeah.
this image that's, and I think that was part of the agony of it. It's like, you know, okay, I got to do this right. I got to be able to show myself in this certain way, where so they can get me or something. I don't even know, like if it's even that strong, but it's, and we do that all the time though.
Yeah.
We're talking to someone. I want to be able to say the right thing or do the right thing. Like even right now, right? Okay, I need to make sure because somebody else might watch this. And right,
Right. What?
please tell the people I'm going to send it to.
You better watch this.
But it's yeah, so it's like, okay, well, I have to hold myself in a certain way. I got to make sure my hair looks okay, right? Or but all of it, right? This constant, how am
Yeah.
I appearing on the outside? And I don't think we totally recognize. I mean, we sort of see how much it affects us or influences us. Right?
Here's an interesting note around that. Like I was listening to Under the Influence, the CBC show about marketing, and they're talking about how the pandemic has changed the whole marketplace, and that some things have tanked, but other things have skyrocketed. And one of the things that's skyrocketed is plastic surgery, and
What?
because people are seeing themselves on Zoom
Oh my
so
God.
much. Well, this is their hypothesis about it, or whatever, that people, right? We don't normally see ourselves so much, right? We're talking to someone, oh, we see them, and we're kind of roughly getting an idea of what they're seeing, and we go in the bathroom and check ourselves or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Now it's
But no,
constantly like, oh, right.
yeah, here's me, and here's, oh my God, my whole office, and oh, the executives, and blah blah blah, and yeah, because I'm with the Sedona method, right? That's one of the key wants is approval. And if we get approval, then we survive. and it's like that's so much how we know ourselves is
Right.
is is or how we reflect in others, which is can be crazy making, because one moment we can have someone be praising us, and then a few hours down the in the day, someone's giving a shit and saying and kind of pointing out our faults. And it's like, well, hang on, God, which one am I? Right? Am I a good person? Am I a bad person?
Yeah. Which is okay. I mean, this is like gonna totally flip the topic thing, but I mean, what I was thinking of talking to you about was this idea of like choices and life choices, and like, because I'm kind of at this point right now. I'm just, well, I'm suspended with no ground, but I don't know, even know kind of which direction to go in. But but I'm kind of looking at that from this perspective. How much of that is an ego thing where I'm wondering, which choice other people will approve of more, or something, right? Like that piece, like what at the end of my life, what
That's it.
right at the end of my life, like what are people, when people look at my life, think, oh yeah, she did all this and this, versus yeah, she didn't get out much or whatever, right? Like
And you're not gonna give a shit.
yeah, right. I
Yeah.
know. So yeah, how much of that, like even this job, oh yeah, this is kind of, I mean, it was the exact job I wanted 20 years ago, right? Like that. And now I've been, I was sort of looking at it like, oh my God, this is my dream job. And I'm thinking, well, is it still? Right? And is this the one? And if nobody knew what jobs I'd done or what I'd, yeah, like how much would that change where I go or what I do or the, yeah.
Yeah. It's all a predicting game, right? We try and
Well,
predict what the mind tries to imagine being in that scenario. How am I going to feel?
okay, so I just was visiting Julie and got hooked on the video game. I avoid video games.
Which one?
The Detroit Become Human.
Oh, didn't we play that at my place? I
No,
think, okay,
maybe
anyways, go
you
on.
were there. Were you there when we started playing it? But anyway, so I started playing it like months ago, and then I went, and this time I just took over and did it. And it's one of the only video games where they tell me when to press X and when to press, so I could do it. But okay, I've spent hours doing this last week, and the fact that like it's so much in my psyche right now, this idea of being able to like make a choice. Okay, do you choose this or this, like the choice thing, right? And trying to think, like you're saying, okay, well, what's going to be the outcome? And then you see the flow chart after each chapter where it showed you the pieces you missed and the doors that didn't get unlocked. And
Yeah.
then you come to this spot and you didn't unlock this before, so you didn't have this choice here. Like
Yeah.
my whole life right now is kind of being run in front of my eyes from this perspective. And in the game, I can go back and redo these as many times as I want, right?
I would be getting this job. You could go back 20 years and, oh, now I get this dream job.
Yeah, but this, so there's this piece like, okay, I can just keep redoing it, Groundhog Day, redo this scene over and over and over again until I get absolutely right.
And do you?
Did I? Well, but then there was some that, I hadn't unlocked before. So, but
Right, so you
I
can't do
did
that.
try that. I did try that for one of the chapters, just kept doing it over and over and over. And it was just like, oh my God, this is so much work, right? It's like that.
That's funny. That reminds me, like, remember the people would ask about reincarnation. How come we can't remember our past lives? So, well, because it wouldn't be very interesting, this one. And then maybe
Tedious.
people would have, yeah, tedious. Oh my God, I'm doing it again.
Even the thought that I might have to come back and keep redoing this is exhausting, even if I don't know that I'm doing it. I don't have the memory. Oh my
Right.
God, I'm gonna have to come back and do this relationship thing over and over. Really?
Yeah, that's too painful. Let's make them forget. Boop.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is what, this idea where you were saying, I know I feel like we've skipped top, we've just like jumped into
That's fine. No problem.
but this piece of how you have no choices. Well, in the video game, I have a choice. I can choose to react angrily or, authentically or right. So there's those pieces, it seems like. And the choice, I can do A or B. So that piece is like, then how do you know which to do? And when, like I try to just navigate my life through feeling sense, right? I kind of feel into it. Well, how does this actually feel? Like, I mean, like you're asking originally, well, how different people kind of process their world or how we move through and our experiences. And me, it's all feeling.
Mhm.
But
So I've never actually, I don't know if I've said we don't have choice. There's not choices. I think what I've said is it's not us making the choice.
okay.
Yeah, us in kind of a very tight identity definition. Even in the game, right? So you were offered two possibilities,
Yeah.
and you clicked X instead of O.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from to click X?
Well, sometimes it would be like, well, I'm not that person that would, you know, I'm the one who wants to do everything peacefully or something.
Yeah. So do you want to go down this rabbit hole? Is this kind of what you're, or is there something, was there something else that, are we talking about the kind of the macro level of choices in life? Because I think, I mean, if we just go with that, to me, it kind of seems like, how would we ever know if a choice is a right choice or not? You know, it comes back to that good luck, bad luck story,
Right.
right? Good luck. Oh, you're so lucky.
Maybe we need to tell that story for everyone out in YouTube land then.
Right. You tell it this time.
No, no, you
All right, I'll start and you can jump in. So basically, I don't know, it's kind of as old as the hills, I think, but I first read it in the book The Peaceful Warrior. I think that's where I first saw it. So it's this farmer has a horse. I guess it's a mare, and horse is quite valuable. It's kind of like having a car. And one day the horse breaks out of the stable and runs away. And the villagers hear about this and they come to the farmer and they're like, "Oh my God, what horrible luck!" But this farmer, I don't know, he's got a different perspective on things, and so they're saying, "Oh, that's horrible luck," and he says, "Well, good luck, bad luck, who can say?" Um, and then a few days later, the mare comes back, but it's got a stallion, very valuable stallion following it. Obviously, a stallion belongs to no one, I guess, or whatever. But the villagers, "Oh my God, look at that magnificent horse! You're so lucky." And he's just like, "Well, good luck, bad luck, who can say?" And then the son is trying to train the stallion, so he's gets on it and is riding, and but stallion's really tough, and it bucks him off, and he lands and breaks his leg, right? And then this land, having a son is really helpful, and they kind of do lots of the work and whatever. So the villagers come to him and, "Oh my God, your son, he's broken his leg. What horrible bad luck." And he's just like, "Oh well, good luck, bad luck, who can say?" And then the next day, the army comes through town for their whatever armies do, right? And whatever mission they have going on, and they, okay, we're collecting all the able-bodied young men, and they see the son, and they say, "Well, okay, we're not taking you. You're a broken leg." And they leave, and then the villagers come, "Oh my God, you're so incredibly lucky. They didn't take your son. How fortunate." And he's like, "Ah, good luck, bad luck, who can say?" So that's kind of I'd see the same thing in choices, good choice, bad choice, who can say? I mean, I guess again, not gross level, right? If you're hurting others, not to hurt others is, I'll plant my flag there and say that's a good choice. But God, I don't even know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. Then it's like that philosophical question, do you sacrifice one person to save 5 people? The railroad ethics. Anyways, so it's kind of comes the same with the whole purpose in life, right? It seems like it requires other factors to be in play. So that having a purpose seems to require some third or other outside perspective having a plan for you. And you're either fulfilling the plan or not fulfilling. With the choice, this seems to be you have to have some endpoint, right? And that's like how you said, like your funeral, which to me was like bang on. Yeah, that seems like a fair enough endpoint.
How are other people seeing my life? viewing it as a whole.
Right. The people like on their deathbed and I don't want to have any regrets and like,
Yeah.
so you have regrets. You're going to be gone in a bit. Right. This is kind of, it seems to me like more made up stuff.
Right. And so there's choices, but you just sort of move along with the flow of it.
Well, yeah, like you just raised your arm to, yeah, right now. Why, what, where did that impulse come from?
Right.
Why'd you raise your right arm and not the left arm? I mean, yeah, that's kind of getting down to.
Well, because yeah, like right now, I'm looking at my life and where I'm, I'm on Cortez right now. Is that where I'm going to stay? And my job, is that what's going to keep going? And I guess I'm trying to, and now I'm here on, I'm here in Peachland, and it's really nice sitting here in the sun, and like I can just feel all these different options because my life's not really, has no structure to it really at the moment. So I'm kind of trying to figure out, what do I do? Well, maybe it'd be nice to move to Tofino, I don't know, right? And so from that point, how do you do it? How do you make choices? Or did they just kind of, well, like you said, okay, well, I didn't make any choice, but your life is a lot different right now. You quit your job,
Yeah, I didn't make a choice, but lots of choices happen. I get to find out what choice was made in a weird way. Right? Like that teacher, give me this, I'll send you that video, Walensky, like he's a student of Nisargadatta, and he says like everything happens before you get there. And it didn't, like it didn't happen a week ago, but things, right? So it's like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. I mean, he even in his world, I don't know if he kind of comes in and out of being Walensky, whatever he said, he'll find himself places and oh, here's what I'm doing. Oh, okay. Do I want to study Spanish or do I want to study French? And then he's like, oh, here I am in a Spanish class. So I guess I decided a decision was made to study Spanish. But I mean, it comes back to what we talked about last time, like that floating on the river,
right.
that it's like you did. Yeah, I guess I'm going to Mama's this weekend, right? Like a choice happens and then the mind comes along afterwards and makes up a story about it, or takes ownership of it, authorship.
So, okay, so when the whole process for you to leave your job in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did that flow then for you? You just woke up one day and said, okay, no, it's time to move on.
Yeah. uh, that idea came into my head. Right, I mean, I've been thinking about it for quite a while and planning it all out, but if out of the darkness the trigger point had never come, then I would still be there.
What do you mean by trigger point?
Well, the decision. Okay, I'm going to write my resignation letter today.
Mm.
Right? I mean, it just doesn't make really sense that to take authorship of that, because that it could have easily, I mean, why didn't it happen 2 years before that? I mean, I was planning it 2 years before that as well. And it just didn't happen, right? So in my mind, okay, well, it didn't happen because this, that, or the other thing, you weren't ready for this, you weren't ready for that. I don't buy it. Like the idea of that we're making decisions. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like the self. And I don't know if I'm just kind of gullible or like with the self, right? The whole thing. Well, I can, we would have this conversation. Well, can you actually find the one? And you'd be, oh, I can kind of find the one. And then it came apparent, like, yeah, maybe there is one, maybe there isn't one. And I just kind of said, there's no way that I can. Doesn't seem a way that I can actually stand on any ground about this, whether there's a self or not. But it seems like my primary interest is being free and being at peace. And it definitely seems like having, going with the I have no self belief definitely increases the level of peace and freedom from my perspective and where I was at. So, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go with that. I'll take that on. And if someday someone comes and proves, well, actually there is a self and it's here in the whatever, blah, 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 and you have to protect this and it's the gemstone. Then I'm like, oh, okay, well. So the same thing to me with choice. It kind of like people make an argument and dig their heels in that, yes, I am a choice and I'm the one that's deciding. And it's kind of like, well, does that make your life more peaceful or less? Right? And then to me, there's definitely kind of a much more flow and a peacefulness to it. Like if I just relax and flowing down the river. Right? And maybe, yeah, maybe I did make the choice to do this or to do that. And someday someone will come out and find this hidden part of the brain that, yes, it is choosing or whatever. Like, okay, well, then I'll change. Like there seems to be this guarding of these things, right? That these concepts and these beliefs that are so ingrained in us from such an early age that it's almost like we're cheating the system or cheating in the game by not buying into them. And I was just like, why not just go with what is more flowing?
Mhm.
Right. So if Michelle is not actually choosing anything. Like, you can just sit back and chillax and watch the show unfold. And and maybe Michelle's gonna procrastinate or whatever, make choice or not make choice and panic about choices. And oh wow, she's really doing that and doing this. And
Mhm.
I mean, I can say from my own personal research project that since I'm kind of loosening up my belief in choices and loosening my belief in the identity, my life hasn't fallen apart. My life hasn't gotten any less manageable, right? And it's just a lot more relaxed. And who's to say, I could have done this from the beginning and maybe it wouldn't have turned out any differently at all. I just would have been a lot more relaxed the whole way along.
All right. Yeah.
So how does that sit?
Well, it's interesting because I'm listening to you share that. My mind's also going to this idea of self and that piece about approval, I guess, of others, or this piece of like judging my life, but it's always kind of from the outside in, right? Okay, well, how will it look, or how does this whole story look, right? The story of my life. Did I make a difference? And then I would think about, these megalomaniacs who just, want to make sure, you think of history, people that want to make sure their names go down in history and they're remembered. And then I thought, well, what if nobody remembers me or something? Like, what if it's just like a program where everything to do with Michelle gets deleted from everyone else's mind? And what came then in that instant of thinking that was just like this relief and peace. Isn't that interesting? Like the thought that, okay, what if nobody remembers anything I've done? Then it's like, oh, oh my God, not the good or the bad, right? The things my contributions to the world. Like, what if I'm gone?
Oh.
So does that mean everything I'm doing is kind of subtly based on how I want, a memory of me to be with others? Like, oh yeah, she was really loving, or oh yeah, she, or the negative. Well, I really hated when she did this. God, I'm never gonna forgive her for that. And all these, these pieces. Like, what if I'm just gone?
Yeah.
Then yeah, like I'm just feeling that, like, a sense of like full, like just like whoa, wow, relaxing or something, right? Like then it is okay. There, it's like it does. Then I do have permission to just continually, just to be so present in the now, because really that's all I've got. I've got the now, and then I got all these ideas about the ideas of the memories of the past and other people's memories of the past, and it's like this huge weight that really it just could just be dropped completely.
Yeah, because it's like you're just falling and you're just hanging on to it. It's just falling with you.
Yeah, and it's just this concept of myself, this idea, this blocks, like you said, this idea that I have of the self and that I want others to have of the self, which could be all made up anyways. I don't know how others see me or perceive me. And what does it matter? Right? Because then it's just all this stuff going on in the thought world.
And they just perceive you based on their whole story
Yeah,
about themselves.
right. Like they're not even seeing me anyway. And all this energy to make sure someone sees me in a certain way when I can't control that either. And it's not real. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
can see that. It's all just this thought, this made up story. Yeah. Like I was thinking about that the other day. You know, I was listening to this story called Hellcats on Audible. It's about Anne Bonny and Mary Read, you know, these two famous female pirates in the Caribbean. And it's a true story. And I was all excited. So I started doing some research about them. And really, I stumbled on this one YouTube video that said, well, that none of this was real. This actually wasn't real at all. Right? It wasn't a true story. There was like these two women who were maybe on a pirate ship for 2 months or something. And they did go, there was a trial in 1720. But so then I had to look at it. Well, what difference does it make then to me if I think it's a true story versus a made up story? And so then it gets in all like, okay, all these made up characters that influence, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland, right? Like to me, even though it's a story, it's something that's alive, right? Or all these different stories that we know are made up are alive versus then, okay, but there's these true stories, and so that makes a difference, but it's still a story in my head. Like it's all just these stories. So that's been interesting. It's like, okay, does it mean less to me than the story of Anne Bonny and Mary Read, these two powerful women who, defied everything and, followed their own path in life? Is it really, less impactful or meaningful if it wasn't a true story now? I don't know. Because it's all stories, right? Everything's a story now.
Yeah. And then there's this story about whether it's a story or not, and
Yeah, right.
whether that's story impactful. Yeah. Yeah. Then all we're left with is just hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out. And like you said, it's just the story of Sean, the story of Michelle, and how much energy do I want to put into that?
Right. Yeah. And then if we come back to that story of authorship, then it's like, well, actually, have I actually been in control of how much energy I put into it anyways?
Okay, fine. I'll give you that one. Yeah, okay. I can just sit back and watch the show.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because that really stayed with me. This idea of just leaning back and floating down the river. Yeah.
Yeah. People, I think through kind of you could look at that through a lens. I think this is a kind of what we talked about the other time. You can look through that through a specific lens, and that might seem really unsatisfying and unfulfilling to people, right? To some people, that just like, well, I don't want to just lie back and. But and that's kind of through the story lens, that Sean's just laying back. He's not doing anything. But if you kind of drop that as well, then it's just like all of existence is just moving down this river. And you're not anything other than that. Then it's just, and that becomes huge and and kind of like people would say it intense. So it's like, oh my God, I'm so big. Like people would say that, right? Like I'm so big. And And yeah, and when it's kind of experienced through that perspective, then it doesn't feel like there's anything lacking in that at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So is that on that note? And does that seem like a
Close to wrap it up. It does. It felt like we kind of meandered around and stuff, but
you kind of froze?
even looking at how people, oh, there, I'm back. Yeah, so even like, because, you know, originally we were talking about how people, the different ways we see things in our journeys and all that, right? To just understand. But I mean, it seems like we kind of came back to the self anyway, and we just have different stories, and yeah,
Yeah.
what does even matter?
Yeah, I had this this little saying posted in my, it says, there's nothing to gain, there's something to give up. And are you frozen? You look like you're frozen. You look very happy in your frozen state. Anyway, so
What?
that's you might have to go back and get back to some Wi-Fi. Hello. Anyways, so yes, on that note, there's nothing to gain. There's only something to give up. And so we're going to give up and let this conversation go.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. I just about to sign off.
What?
I was just about to sign off.
Gonna turn off recording?
Yeah, because your connection is really bad. You're frozen again.
Yeah.
Can hear you. All right, say bye, Michelle.
Okay. Still recording though.
I know, say bye. All right.